Okay, so thanks a lot for coming. This is my first time to talk in a theater, in a cinema. I've talked in a stadium, but not in a cinema, so it's a very nice experience. I'm here to talk about Fable. You see here, I'm in Spain compiler for the web. It's an open source project of mine that I created almost 3 years ago. This is my name, Alfonso García-Caro. So this is what I will be talking about. Fable. This our logo is quite cool. I didn't do it, of course. So Fable is an open source compiler. It's designed to make a safe programming and to be very high productive. Okay, how we can achieve this? This is a compiler. Some people say that it's not a real compiler because it's not producing actual machine code. It's just compiling to another language, which is JavaScript. But it's okay if you want to call it a compiler. Okay, I don't mind. It's a compiler from F# to JavaScript. F#, I guess that all of you know JavaScript is everywhere. But F#, how many of you know F#? Okay, 2, not bad, not bad. F# is a Microsoft language. Okay, no Microsoft haters, okay, that's good. It's a Microsoft research language, which is a bit different. They are not so bad. And it's a functional first language. If you want to have a taste of what F# looks like, I recommend you to go to the Fable.io repo. So you can see it here. You can go, oops, no, you can see it here. I think. Now, okay. That should be better. So you go to the Fable.io, then you click a repo, and then you go here. It takes some seconds to load, so I've already loaded for you. And you can go to the samples, and you have here, you have the tour of F#. So this is going to explain you a bit about the principles of F#. This is not really doing anything, so you won't see any live sample, so you can only check the console results. And you can check also the generated code by Fable, because this is Fable running on the browser. This is not sending anything to any server. This is the F# compiler and Fable itself compiled by Fable to JavaScript and producing everything. So you can see that it's not only compiling the code, it's also giving you type inference, tooltips, auto-completion. If I'm trying to do here, the list module, and I'll get the list of the possible functions I can use. I can also get comments. Unfortunately, only for the code that you have defined here, not for the libraries in the repo. And I can also go to definition. So if you see here, I'm getting where this is belonging. This is not very interesting because it's very close, but when you have more code, yeah, this can be really useful to navigate through the code. So I recommend to go here. As you can see very quickly, this is an ML language. I don't know if you know this ML family of functional languages. Some of the most prominent examples are Haskell and OCaml. OCaml is quite popular now in the web because Facebook is promoting it, and Facebook has created a kind of a dialect of OCaml called ReasonML, which is basically OCaml with a different syntax designed to appeal more to JavaScript developers. In this case, we have this syntax that is, as you can see, the main difference with C-style languages is that we don't have so many brackets, not rounded brackets, no parents, no also angled brackets. So everything in the F#, everything is controlled by indentation. You make the wrong indentation. If you have done some Python, you'll see here that the compiler is going to tell you very quickly that something is going wrong. Okay, and as you can see here, because this is a functional first language, the functions are very, very important. So they are first-class citizens, and there is no difference between a function here with an argument and a value. And also, this is a statically typed language. So this is a very big difference with a language like JavaScript that is dynamically typed, or Python. But we have type inference, which means that we don't have to write the type annotations all the time. If the compiler can infer the use, by the way, I think maybe you don't see it very well. Let's try a bit large font. Better? Unfortunately, we don't have yet a light mode for the repo. But I hope it's fine. If you want to check it out, just try it out. Just go to the Fable.io, because you don't need to install anything. This is just pure JavaScript. This is not Flash. This is not the old Microsoft Silverlight. This is just JavaScript, so it should run in any modern browser. But I'm not going to go into detail of the language, just to show you very quickly a quick taste, because this will take much more than the time I'm allowed. I'm going to talk about Fable, because Fable is my theme. I didn't design the language. I created the compiler to JavaScript. So let's go back to our presentation. So this is what I tried to do with F#. I tried to, with Fable, I tried to bring these two worlds, the world of F# and .NET and the world of JavaScript together, okay? This is not done with the idea, many times you hear when somebody creates, especially a statically typed language that compiles to JavaScript, they are saying that they are trying to fix the JavaScript ecosystem, that everything is broken, the JavaScript is a crappy language, but this is not the case for Fable. This is not the philosophy behind Fable. Because I was learning, when I created that 3 years ago, I was learning F# and JavaScript together, and I really liked the languages. I like, maybe the language I like it more F#, but the JavaScript I also like it very, very much. But in JavaScript, I especially like the community and the ecosystem and how vibrant is everything, and how everybody's moving so fast and creating so many things. And this really appealed me. So I was trying to find a way to get this language that I liked, F# to an ecosystem that I really liked very much. And I hope that I kind of succeed with Fable. Let's take some examples of, the acceptance of Fable around the world and the community. It had a very warm welcome from the community, from the F# community from the very beginning. This is what encouraged me to keep on working on that and creating new versions and improving things, because of course the first version was really, really shitty. But thanks to the contribution, to the feedback from the users, now I guess that we have kind of usable compiler. It's already used in production in several places. This, for example, somebody that created an Alexa app using F#. This was usually not possible because these cloud providers didn't support .NET. Now some of them, I see Amazon support them. But it was not possible, so at the beginning, I think last year, probably, yeah, this one, last year, the only way to use F# there was to compile it to JavaScript. So we also have, last year as well, we had this year, January, we had the elections in the Czech Republic. The main site that was used to analyze the results of the elections was also created with Fable. We have, very recently, there was a congress with the World Health Organization, and this is a company from Sweden that created also an analytic applications. I think it's for drug monitoring, and this was also created by Fable, okay? And there's also a company in Toronto. We are going to check this guy later because this is a very important contributor of the community. And this company in Canada, Prolucid, they are also Fable users. There's a user also from Philadelphia, which I visited a couple of years ago as well, presenting the very, very first version. And also here, New York City F# meetup, they're also presenting Fable with web audio. Okay, and this is kind of cheating because this is me, and of course I'm going to try to promote Fable as much as possible. But this was a conference in San Francisco. I was a couple of months ago, and this guy here was presenting how they were using F# and Fable in their company, which is called The Metrics, a company in San Francisco that is doing genetics. Okay, so that's kind of cool. And yeah, this is my Twitter handle. So if you want to follow me or retweet some of my tweets, I'll be very grateful. And we've visited Europe, we visited the United States, but also we can go across the ocean again and go to New Zealand. This is this was the F# program manager in Microsoft, and there were some replies, and this guy was saying that he was using SafeStack. SafeStack, we'll see that later. SafeStack is a stack using Fable on the front end and F# also on the back end. Okay, and it seems he's quite happy. And now we have, very soon, we'll have a very big functional conference in India, and there will be also a talk about Fable with this Kunshan, this user who is also a good contributor of the ecosystem. But there is a country that is missing here. We visited New Zealand, the Czech Republic, United Kingdom, the United States. Oh no, I feel there's a country that is missing here. Where do you think it is? Spain. We don't have, unfortunately, we don't have many Fable users in Spain. I know why, because F# is also not very popular in Spain yet, unfortunately. But with this not so subtle attempt to influence your minds, please try to spread the love, and also let's try to make let's try to get more Fable users and contributors from Spain as well, which will make me very, very happy, because I'm living here in Spain. Of course, I would like this to succeed also in my home country. And there's another example that sometimes, not many times, but sometimes we even have job offers asking for Fable compiler developers. So this is the thing. So this not only for hobbies, it's for hobbies as well, but you can also get some money with that. And even Trump is interested in a Fable. So you see this tweeting about Fable, and Trump was very quickly replying. But obviously this part of the account, because if Trump would be actually interested in Fable, probably I would be dead already. So I hope that he's not caring about that. But let's go back to our presentation, and I want to talk about the community, because this is what I'm happiest about. The compiler itself is nothing, but the community is what is really important. And I think I'm going to try to use separate display so I can see the time, and I don't run over time as usual. Okay, so the first thing I told you about this guy is Yun Tomoshev. He's living in Canada, and he's contributed Elmis, which is becoming now the standard way to create Fable application. Fable is just a compiler. It doesn't have any opinion on anything. It's just taking your F# code and compiling it to JavaScript. So, but this is not enough to create an application. So this guy took the Elm-architecture. How many of you know Elm or the Elm-architecture? Okay, well, probably if I told you about Redux, you'll know more about that. It's the model view update architecture. This is basically one direction data flow, which was also popularized by Facebook with the Flux architecture and then the Redux implementation. But everything came from here, from the Elm architecture, that is telling you that you should have a model that is immutable. You have the view function, which is how React works more or less with the render function, and you have an update function. So every time that you want to change something, you just dispatch a message to the update function. The update function is going to create a new model, and this is going to update your view. And this is really, really, really good to not to worry about many of the problems that UI that we have in UI, because in UI we have many things, many events happen at the same time, and there is really, really difficult when we are using some kind of imperative UI framework like a jQuery. It's really difficult to know what is happening at any point, because with this elegant architecture, this model view update, everything is just immutable. We can have a snapshot of our model every time, and we can just go through history. If you know some also patterns for storing data in databases like CQRS or event streams that you just put events in a database and that you can retrieve them. You can review the history at any time. This is something similar for the web. And the interesting part is that if you have used the Elm language, I'll recommend you to use the Elm language as well, because it's really good and it's very simple. It's probably easier to learn than F#. It's more focused on the web. F# is, of course, more general. You can do a backend as well, and you can do something more, but with Elm, you can start really, really quick. But Elm has its own things, own tools, and you have to use the tools Elm that are really good, but it means that the community also is going to be smarter. What we have done, we have taken Elm-architecture, all the good things, and we have combined them with React, because React, I guess all of you know React, right? It's really, really popular, and there are hundreds of components available. So it means that whenever you need anything, you can just go to the web and then take one of the components. Sometimes the React components authors make the components very difficult to use, but there's another story. But anyways, I'm showing you an example here. This React Leaflet. Leaflet is a mapping library for JavaScript, and React Leaflet is a React component to use this library. So here we can define some unit types. This unit type is one of the most interesting things of F# and also similar functional programming language like OCaml or Haskell, that you can have. Think of have you seen some kind of a unit type like this? Sometimes in TypeScript or in JavaScript, sometimes they try to emulate. It's kind of an enumeration, but it's very powerful because the enumeration, also the cases, can have other types. And we are using unit types to model properties in props in React components. So you can define some bindings like this, and then you can use it like this. So you can see how the experience of developing with React and Fable changes. So, whoops, I think some echo here. So you see that now we have auto-completion, we have type checking, and we also still have this feeling of immediate response. That this is something that I love from the JavaScript development. That you write something, you change the code, and the code is executed immediately, and you can see the change very, very quickly. Okay. So this will be the translation. If you have done some React, you know that the standard way to do to write the component is the JSX, which is kind of HTML language directly in your JavaScript. We just use, because JS translates to functions, we just use functions directly. Okay, so there's another guy, Maxime Majol, from the community. He's also a very, very prolific contributor. He has contributed many tools and libraries. He was also involved in Elm-ish, and he has created Fulma. He has created a thought JSON, which is a JSON decoder for F#, and he has also released recently form builders, and he's been providing HMR, which I just talked about, as hot model replacement support for Elm-ish. So it means that you can just change the code and see very quickly what is happening. So let's see an example of what's Fulma. Do you know Bulma? Bulma, it's a CSS framework. Bootstrap is really, really popular, but maybe you know. Let's take it very quickly. Bulma. Bulma here, does it ring a bell? No? Okay, so it's a nice CSS framework, and the good thing is that it doesn't include any JavaScript. In Bootstrap, when you want to use the components, you have to use jQuery and many things, but when you have moved to some more functional development, like using React components and things like this, it's good to have a CSS framework that it's not including any JavaScript. Okay, so let's go back to our presentation. It's there. Okay, good. So if we want to use Bulma, for example, we can just use class names like this. But there is a problem here, because we have the class names. We want to make this jump to a statically typed language, but then we are just using 3 literals here. Nothing is checking that we are doing any mistake. And also, Bulma requires, because these CS frameworks, I think Bulma is a bit easier, but with Bootstrap I was always having a difficult time, because they require a special structure, and nothing is going to check that for you. But using Fulma, this just raw string literals, this code that you can write directly in Fable, but using Fulma here, you see that everything is typed. So it means that you cannot make any mistake here, and also it means that you will get compiler warnings or errors if you are doing something wrong. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, I'm used to write HTML and JSX and these kind of things, and now I have to write all the syntax if I want to try Fable. Okay, yes, you need to get used to that. But Maxim has also thought of you, and he has created this tool which is called HTML to Elmish, and basically it's translating HTML code to what you can code syntax that you can use directly in your Fable application. So this is really good when you have something that you want to convert, and you can just use this tool that is online. You can go to his GitHub profile and this HTML to Elmish, and you have it there. Okay, and his latest release is Form Builders. This also, I think, is very promising. This tool, because as you know, probably if you have written any web application, one of the most difficult, or at least one of the parts that takes most of the times, it's building forms, and building forms right, because building forms right require validation here, and now we cannot wait until the user is going to click submit to check the validation. We have to make the validation as we are typing, because we don't want the user to have to send the data, check a validation in the server, and then tell them, no, it's that you have any problem here, you have to reset everything. No, we want to give clear message in real time, and we also as you just saw there, that when we did when we actually sent the data to the server, we get an extra validation in a synchronous time. This how he configured the library. As you can see, this is a bit different of a syntax. This syntax is closer to what you expect of a object-oriented language, or even in JavaScript, that you have this kind of fluent APIs. In F# we usually use the pipe operator that now they are trying to implement in JavaScript as well. But sometimes we want to use this because this allows us to use optional arguments that with the other operators is not possible in F#. But as you can see here, it's very nice, because this is one of the principles of functional programming, that everything, not everything, but most of the problems are just solved with function composition. So if you want a form that you want to have different things, so you just compose functions. In this case, a Fluent API is just a way to compose functions, and we are just adding labels, we are adding validation, we are saying if it is required or not, and at the end we just build. But we don't only have these bindings for Fulma. If you want to use other React style React frameworks, for example, Material UI is very popular, or Undesign, we also have this React fitness by other contributors to the community. And oops, no, I think this one shouldn't be here. Sorry. We also have other cool projects. This one is Fable remoting. This very nice, because this taking advantage of the fact that if you're using a Fable app and you're also using F# in your backend, you can have F# on both sides, and you can share many things like types, and even create REST APIs automatically using reflection, because Fable also has some support for reflection. So it means that you can use the types. The types are real types. You can just get information about them at runtime. So this is a project that is used to create. Unfortunately, we cannot go in depth, but this project is used to create automatically using remote procedures calls a REST API between your front end and your back end, just using a single type to define the functions that you want to share. And the author is Zaira Yak. He's also a very, very prolific contributor to the community. So if you want to check other tools for Fable apps, you can just check his GitHub profile. And we also have this scheme, but actually there is another this scheme, because he created this what he calls Tabula Rasa, which is a big example of a Fable Elmish app with creating a blog. So you can check it out if you want to see how things are done in a medium-sized app. And this is another project which is called Elmish Bridge, which use WebSocket to propagate the Elmish state to the server, which means that when you see here, okay, when you are just, you can have, for example, several tabs open, and when you just publish a post, this will be, you publish, and this will be updated automatically in other tabs. Of course, this is not about other tabs. It's about other users that will be in different computers, but your server will communicate them in real time that a new post has been published. We also have another project that is really cool. It's called Fable Reaction. Do you know about the ReactiveX? Yeah? Okay, so ReactiveX, I'm not surprised that you don't know much about that because it was like very popular 2 years ago. It was like everybody should be reactive and use ReactiveX, but then it disappeared. It was kind of weird. I think it didn't kind of succeed because it was they were at the time they were trying to do everything with this kind of reactive programming, which is basically treating most of the events, most of the things like streams. And it's really cool, but it's not for everything. I think, for example, the Elmish or Flux, if you want, Elm-architecture is better because it's easier to understand the messages and just the update function. But for some things, like for example, let's if you have to drag some element, this is kind of not impossible, but it's a bit of cumbersome to do it in Elmish because you need a lot of messages for everything and you have to write a lot of code. But with Fable Reaction is quite simple. As you can see, for example, this is an example with time flies like an arrow, and this is how we are treating the stream of events. So we can just get the stream from the mouse moves. We can just make a delay and then react, send a message for all the events, but only the events that we are really interested about after processing the stream of events. And this is also something kind of peculiar and useful for F#. This is called Computation Expression. And when you have code within this, in this case we do use angle brackets, you can use the bang symbol to change a bit the meaning of some of the keywords like yell or yield. Let here, the let meaning. And this is used mainly for asynchronous programming. You know, now in JavaScript you can use that as well. The await that is used, so you don't have to deal with the callback hell. That you can just think that some of your asynchronous code is you can deal with it as if it were synchronous. So this is also possible in F#. But the good thing the thing that I like, this is very customizable. So it means that you can just use it. And you can define, and in this case, this author, Jack Bradley, he defined the custom computation expression, and then you can give a new meaning to this band symbol. I won't go in detail, but yeah, it's something quite cool. It's not only in F#, in other languages like Haskell, for example, and Scala, they have similar solutions to deal with asynchronous code. Okay, and sometimes this is good that you have so many bandits and the community has made so many contributions. But it's when this is not enough, we have TS to Fable. I studied that. It's a semi-automatic translation tool for TypeScript declaration maintenance. You know TypeScript? Yeah. Okay. So TypeScript, I think you can like the language or not. It's good because it's very close to JavaScript, but it's only giving you some type inference and type checking. But the good thing about TypeScript is that it encourages the community to create these type declarations. So even if you have a JavaScript library, you can create this TypeScript declaration file and then publish it, and then people will be able to use it as if it were typed. Okay, so we can just use it from Fable. It doesn't work all the time, especially because now TypeScript is evolving very quickly, but sometimes it works. And also it's good to create the most of the boilerplate when you want to interact with a JavaScript library. So for example, here, this is an example. If you want to use Google Analytics, you just go there, you find the type declaration, you just copy it. You can go to there is also an online version of this. You go there, you just paste it, and you get the F# code that you can just put directly into your application. Okay, so now I told you about the save. This is the save stack. You can go to their web page. It's savestack.github.io. But this is a full F# stack This stands for Saturn, which is the server that is used. This stands actually for Azure, but you can use it with any cloud provider. And this Fable and this Elm-architecture. So basically, it's like putting a few things together. But all of these things, like Fable, they can work separately. So it doesn't mean that you are locked to use all of these things or to use one cloud provider. But if you are interested in F#, you are looking for a full stack solution. This is also very good, and it's also I'm not involved directly in this. It's also a contribution to the community, and there are some companies supporting this as well. So what I want to say is that if you have an open source project and you want it to be successful, there are three things that you need to have in mind. Okay, so this is community, community, and community. Okay, so this what is going to do an open source project successful. It's not about you. It's not about okay, well, the project itself, but it's always you need the help of the people, because that's what open source is about. And actually, we have this not only contributors, but we are making a small but beautiful community. We already had 2 events to Fable Conf, because we are so imaginative with the names. Last year it was in Bordeaux, of course, much smaller than this one, but still good nonetheless. And we had wine because it was in Bordeaux. And just last month we also had in Berlin. It was also very nice, which is the t-shirt I'm wearing right now. If you're interested, just check it with the videos, because we have a YouTube channel. Just look for Fable Compiler. You get to the YouTube channel, and you can see the videos, and this is also quite interesting. So that's why I don't need to go in detail of all the things, because I'm just presenting the overall ecosystem, and then you can go there and check the things that you are interested about. You have, for example, I think React performance. You have event sourcing. I told you about this event sourcing. That is more or less this kind of similar model to Elm-architecture, but in the backend to store data. You can also see about the offline progressive applications. And there was, this one is about. It's not in the picture, but it's about data analysis using the Fable to visualize the data, and using F# scripts to analyze the data very quickly in an interactive fashion. A bit of similar to Python, for example, or R. So the only thing that is left for me is just telling you to try it out if you like it. And what we are trying to do all the time is to improve the experience, because as I told you, what I really envy and admire of the JavaScript development experience, that it's so easy to start thinking, okay, I know that it's becoming more and more complicated with all the things, but we are trying to integrate with the JavaScript tooling, and especially with Webpack, because it gives us so many things. It gives us integration with other languages. It gives us minification, bundling, and also this hot model replacement. So we have the Fable loader. If you want to try it out, just install Fable loader. If you want to try it out even quicker without installing anything in your computer, just go to the repo that I just saw. So let's, I think I have 2 minutes. So very quickly, we'll check this. I think I will mirror my screen so you see the same as me. And yeah, this is the repo. I was showing you the tour of F#, but you have more beautiful things here, like a very simple canvas. But you have here this experience of just changing something and seeing the results very quickly. Something a bit more complicated. Whoops. This drawing fractals or color frontend, which is kind of cool. You can inspect the code, and as I told you, you can you have all the, for example, we have bindings to the browser API, so you can go to window and then you see everything available. And then we also have Elm-architecture. We also have games. That's kind of cool, because you can even play Pac-Man directly in the browser. This is the full Pac-Man. Just in around 700 lines of code, but it's quite interesting because the contributor is having all the graphics and everything in the text, which is it's kind of cool. And we have also Fulma. I was talking to you about Fulma. So here you can play very quickly with all the themes and the code. This code is coming from the documentation, so you can go to the Fulma documentation. It's good, but if you want to try it out interactively, you can go to the Fable repo. And also Elm is here. This is very good if you want to learn, because there are examples quite easy, like for example the typical example of input that is updating in real time. And you see here that it's really simple. You have a model, you have an update function, you have the view function, and you have the messages that the view function is going to dispatch to the update function. And that's all that it is. So if you want to have the classical to-do MVC, that you can set with filters, clearing complete, etc. You can just go here, and in less than 300 lines of code, you have everything. And it's just that. And some of the things I like from F# and union types is that you can use this what we call pattern matching. You are just taking the message that is of this type, and then you just check what type is it. And if you forget to check any case, the compiler is going to tell you very quickly that the case you are forgetting something. So every time that you add a new message, the compiler is going to tell you, okay, you have to update it here, here, and here. Okay, that is quite cool. But if you want this, you want to have a quick look of about the or what's the actual desktop experience. If you want to install, you have to install the .NET SDK. It's quite easy. It's just downloading it from Microsoft. But you can just come here, and now I have my Webpack config, and I only have to add it here. The Fable loader, okay. Have you used? Do you use Webpack normally? So you know more or less how loader works. They are a bit complicated at the beginning, but they are just very easy when you get used to that. You only need to put them in your Webpack configuration, and then you just can call an F# file. In this case, the entry point is F# break, because F# is using project files to list all the files that are included in the project. And then we just call, for example, the Webpack dev server when we are in development and we want to have a development static server that is going to update everything in real time. So we just, the first compilation, I warned you, is going to take some seconds, because it's the type checking of F# is quite powerful, but this means that it has to do a lot of work. But once it's done, it's getting ready to compile all the files, including the files from your packages. And when this is finished, you can just, when you make changes, only, let's go to localhost. Okay. So we have here an example also using Fulma. When you go to localhost, you can go. No, okay. Let's go to the view, the answer. So we have here, for example, the thumb up. And one of the cool things that even Font Awesome, you know Font Awesome to use icons, or even Font Awesome is typed. So you can just check all the icons available in the font option, and then you can just pick a new one. And this, you can see here that I just saved the file, and the compiler is just recompiling everything and updating everything in real time. Okay, I can just go back, and it will change without changing the state of my application. But this is quite cool. But as I told you, I'm really admirer of the JavaScript ecosystem and the development tools. So I wanted to integrate as much as possible. We have integrated with Webpack, with minification, with bundling, but we also want to integrate with advanced tools like React, for example. the React tool, you can just go here, and you see, and this is just functions. So yeah, here, but area, again, you can just go there. It's just, you have the type inference here in the code lens of the, because now I'm using the Unite, which is the visual extension for Visual Studio Code. And I can even, if I go to the state, for example, when I send the boot app message, I can even, this, for example, an assertion. I'm going to assert something that is failed, so it means that it will always fail. So I have here the, I have all the my types here. I even can hover over my my values and get information from the browser. Not only this, I can just set checkpoints as well. So even if I remove this, so for example, let's do it with vote down. So it's not always perfect because it's there are some code transformations, but you can see here that the breakpoints are being hit. And even if you use Visual Studio Code, it's quite a nice IDE because it's very pluggable. And there are many plugins for it. And there is also this Chrome developer tools that you can just, let's close this one. We can just run a new instance of Chrome, but this one is being managed by Visual Studio Code. So it means that when I do something, I'm going to get the debugger stop directly in my IDE. And this, of course, is all working with source maps. That is the actual code running is JavaScript. It's JavaScript that has been very manipulated by Fable, Babel, and Webpack. But we still can go back to the original code using the debugger. And that's basically all. I think probably we don't have time for questions. Sorry, sorry for speaking too long. But thanks a lot. That's Fable.io. That's my Twitter handle, and also Fable Compiler. You know about that. And please, just if you like the talk, tweet about that. Tell everybody, spread the love, and also give us a start in GitHub. So thanks a lot. There's no time for questions, but if you have anything, just ask me now, or I'll be around. So yeah, feel free to ask.